During the entire month of October, Baka To Basics will be taking a look into some of the more gruesome or darker sides of anime. And it all starts this week by looking into the psychological side of things. Psychology is the scientific study of the mind and behavior exhibited from a test subject. This includes the study of conscious and unconscious phenomena, including feelings and thoughts. It's an academic discipline of immense scope, crossing the boundaries between the natural and social sciences. So what would any of that have to do with anime? In today's video, we will cover all forms of psychology in anime, as well as the show many in the community would have to consider is the greatest use of this genre. With that out of the way, I'm Summers, and this is the wild world of psychological anime. Class is officially in session. When most people think of the use of psychology in any form of media, they often tend to couple it with the horror side of things. While this is fine and actually a very effective method, it's not at all required. Horror often goes out of its way no matter what cost to scare us, gross us out, and leave its audience pondering what the hell they just saw. Psychological media goes a different route. It tends to play with the idea of questioning everything. Why are we here? Why is this task being asked of us? What happens if I don't succeed at said task? It gives you a sense of dread that a giant monster or a serial killer just can't, because oftentimes those are creatures you aren't expected to beat. Now, look at a premise such as 2009's The Box. It's a film based off the 1970 short story Button by Richard Matheson. The movie surrounds a financially desperate NASA engineer, Arthur Lewis, and his wife Norma, who find a package on the doorstep, containing a wooden box with a large red button. A mysterious and disfigured man arrives to deliver the key to unlock the box and tells Norma that if the button is pushed, she will receive $1 million in cash. But someone she does not know will die. After further discussion between the couple, Norma impulsively pushes the button, whispering, "It's just a box." It is revealed later that someone is shot, and the gunman ran from the scene with a briefcase. The man arrives and prevents Arthur and Norma with the $1 million, assuring them that someone did indeed die as a result of their actions, and that the same offer will be presented to someone else they do not know. Arthur attempts to return the money, but the man declines, stating that he can do nothing because the button has been pressed. There is no monster, there is no big evil in this film. It is just a simple concept of death and the pressure with knowing you killed someone and benefited from that action. But life is fair play, and now someone has the exact same option for that fate to befall you yourself. As for some of the ways that anime handles this genre, I think most people will be very pleasantly surprised with the diverse catalog of titles that you can choose from. What is widely seen as an avant-garde classic, Serial Experiments Lain is at times a challengingly slow, confusing, and occasionally frustrating show upon its first watch, because of how unique and complex it can be at times. Influenced by the rise of the internet, the show follows the eponymous Lane, a girl who is largely disconnected from the world. One day she receives an email from a deceased classmate containing a link that takes Lane into a cybernetic world. As she exists in two realms, the girl starts to lose herself, and the thought of losing oneself is this terrifying psychological thought. And Serial Experiments Lain handles the topic remarkably well. Mental strain and fortitude is a common theme amongst many psychologically based shows, and no two better display this theme than Steins Gate and Death Note. Based on one of the most influential visual novels of the past decade, Steins Gate explores the ideas of using time travel to change the course of history. Each time our mad genius scientist Okabe sends something back in time, he must deal with all the ramifications of how he has changed the present. This becomes a serious weight on his shoulders, as he must navigate what should be changed and what should stay the same, and also whether he has the right to play God essentially with people's lives. Which, speaking of, we have Death Note. The epic battle of wits between Light Yagami and the mysterious L is arguably one of the most iconic psychological anime of all time. The moral quandaries presented by the idea of a death note, a notebook that can kill anyone whose name is written in it, being used to kill criminals and bad people without a trial, gives viewers a lot to think about outside of the show as well. If given this power to take the justice system into one's own hands, what would you do? Would you punish justly? What is your ideal world? Do you yourself have the right to say who should and shouldn't die for the crimes they have committed? Also, to be fully clear, I am talking about the anime adaptation or the manga and only those. The Japanese light adaptations are serviceable enough, but definitely not whatever the crap Netflix did. Although William Dafoe is really good at playing Ryuk. Most psychological anime are deeper, dark, and mind-bending affairs with moral compasses going back and forth and back and forth. Kaguya-sama Love is War is none of those things. It succeeds at completely subverting the genre's cliches and instead manages to have a psychological battle of wits occur whilst also managing to be a comedic romance that pits student council members Kaguya and Miyuki against each other in a bid to get the other to confess their loves first. This show uses some downright gut-busting comedy alongside incredible character growth moments throughout the series. It's hard to imagine a show like this being considered a psychological show, but that is exactly what it is. But instead of impending doom or the weight of someone's life, it's all about two geniuses refusing to give in to the other, all while genuinely developing feelings for one another. It's literally like Freshmen in High School the anime, but with a cute pink-haired girl doing a dance that earns her the adoration of fans all around the world. Another show that does not follow these usual psychological tropes is that of Welcome to the N.H.K. Hikikomori is a word used in Japan to describe people who generally don't go outside and avoid all social contact possible. This is the case for Tatsuhiro, who believes in a conspiracy that the Nihon Hikikomori Kyokai, or N.H.K., is what is causing him to live this style of life. The show follows him slowly opening up to try and actually explore the world. With a lot of drama and some comedy sprinkled throughout it, it really is a fascinating experience watching someone break down a mental health condition that they have and begin to create progress in their own life. So when doing research for this class session, I really wanted to give a wide variety of shows that can help someone when picking out what show would best suit them. And that's when I also realized this would be a wonderful time to talk about a show I skipped during the sports genre breakdown. 2014's Ping Pong the Animation took the sports anime genre in an unprecedented direction. Despite its name, the show is not really about ping pong, but it rather dives into psychological constructs that people create to help them survive in a world. Pico and Smile are polar opposites personality-wise, but they have been close friends for years. Smile idolizes Pico and, to a certain extent, views him as something of a hero. Ping Pong the Animation explores the psyches of these characters, along with quite a few other people. The anime is complex, visually creative, and endlessly rewatchable. The last show I want to talk about today is what I, in my opinion, I'm sure many others consider the definitive psychological anime. That anime is Psychopaths. What happens if the police could scan someone with a gun, know how likely they are to commit a crime, not that they have, but how likely their psyche is willing to commit a crime, and then instead of arresting them, the gun executes them based on this information? That is pretty much the premise of Psychopaths, and it results in some incredibly emotional and philosophical moments throughout the show. Akane is a new member of the force and truly wants to uphold justice in the world, but keeps finding that time and time again her ideals are tested. The show doesn't hold back on its use of violence, and it's all the better to get across the point that the show wants us to try and better understand. Many times Akane and us the viewer are made to ask who exactly decides the mental state of these people. Why is death the immediate answer for a crime someone might have not even committed yet? The funny thing about this genre is that it is so often shoehorned in with horror that I almost didn't write the script. However, after looking back at the many shows that encapsulate the psychological anime space, while tons do fall into a realm of horror, they also tend to focus more on the mind, a battle of wits, the fear of the unknown, and what causality our actions can produce. Also, it gave me an excuse to talk about the Chica dance, and I passed that option up once and I'm never going to pass it up again. That's all I have for today's video. If you enjoyed, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can never miss a single class session. Remember to like the video and comment down below some of your favorite anime that use psychological themes in them, and give someone else a show to check out. I've been Summers with Baka To Basics, and I'll see you the next time that class is in session.